Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt, joined now by United States Senator Tom Cotton. Good morning, Senator. Welcome. You will be given no quarter during this interview. I want you to know that.
Good morning, Hugh. Thank you for that kind introduction.
That's another controversy we'll get to another day. I gather that the demonstrators have gone for herd immunity.
Yeah, Hugh, it's kind of amazing that in many of our biggest cities, as of today, you can be arrested for trying to open your business and earn a living or going to church to worship your God, but you apparently can't be arrested for rioting and looting in groups of hundreds or thousands. That has to change, and it has to change tonight.
Now, Senator Cotton, I may be wrong. I'm often wrong. Never in doubt, frequently wrong, as we say. But yesterday, the president did a very good thing with his speech and with his walk to St. John's, because he was not just going to St. John's, he was going to every storefront that had been vandalized, to every small business that had been destroyed. That's what I thought that was. Blue check bubble people and orange man bad people had a collective stroke and said those poor demonstrators were the subject of rubber bullets, which I don't believe were used, and gas, which I think were flashbangs, not tear gas, but I'm not sure. I don't know. But it was after curfew. What did you think of the president's actions?
Well, I thought the president's remarks yesterday, just like his remarks at Cape Canaveral on Saturday, were entirely appropriate. Look, I think everyone is deeply disturbed by the video of George Floyd's wrongful death. And we all welcome the quick action by local authorities and the Department of Justice to investigate and to get justice in accordance with law. We also respect the right of peaceful protesters, but we can have zero tolerance for anarchists and insurgents, rioters, and looters. And the president made that point in the Rose Garden speech yesterday, and he symbolically made that point by visiting St. John's Church, where every president has worshiped since James Madison, in which these insurrectionists had set on fire 2 nights ago. I wasn't present in Lafayette Park. I will just remind people that it is a common practice anytime the president comes to the north side of the White House that the Secret Service pushes persons off of Pennsylvania Avenue and out of that park. And my understanding is all of those persons gathered in Lafayette Park were repeatedly warned over loudspeakers to disperse by the Secret Service for those conditions. And you're right that within just a few minutes of the president's appearance, there was a curfew in place anyway.
Actually, he appeared at 7:01. The curfew started at 7. They were ordered to disperse. They didn't. People who know anything about the First Amendment, reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions, but orange man bad. You know that. I want to go to the more important thing. Detective Tom from Oakland, one of my regular callers, called this morning. And he said, look, the problem is going to get worse because the insurrectionists, the anarchists, know that they are not fully staffed. They don't have enough people. He said, if you've got a home invasion robbery, forget about it. We'll be there in a few days. That the military and the National Guard are needed to do in-depth protection of neighborhood coverage sort of thing so that the police can do their job. Are you getting a response to your call for the use of military to do that basically neighborhood protection job where necessary?
Yeah, so, Hugh, as the president made clear yesterday, he is prepared to use the Insurrection Act as George Bush did in 1992 in the L.A. riots, as Lyndon Baines Johnson did in 1968 after the Martin Luther King riots. He has not yet invoked that because he hopes these governors will use their National Guard, as was used in D.C. last night, along with federal law enforcement authorities, to have an overwhelming display of force. The rioting and the looting in D.C. was significantly reduced last night because you had that overwhelming display of force. And the entire point of the display of force, Hugh, is not to have to use force. So these police departments who in some cases don't have the numbers to face off against these anarchists and insurrectionists have the support of their National Guard and, if necessary, the active duty military. The lesson that we saw last night in Washington, D.C., that we've seen in recent nights in Minneapolis, is when you have that overwhelming display of force, the violence is reduced. That has to happen in every one of these cities.
Do you believe that American media generally has got any idea what the average American thinks of this last 72 hours, Senator Cotton?
No, none, Hugh.
I agree with you. I am dumbfounded that they turned the story last night into tear gassing demonstrators when the rest of America was cheering, and the security needs of Americans are first. They just don't seem to understand.
Or compare the news reporting from 2 weeks ago to what it is today. 2 weeks ago, the mainstream elite media in D.C. and New York were accusing governors in places like Georgia of human sacrifice because they were reopening barbershops, or killing grandma because you were going to allow people to go back to work with appropriate precautions. And now, again, for a week, we've seen on our TV screens thousands of insurrectionists and anarchists in close quarters destroying our cities. Have you heard a single one of these talking heads of these empty suits on CNN or MSNBC shaming all of those insurrectionists and anarchists for not keeping 6 feet apart? For killing grandma?
No, but it's not just those two networks. I don't hear it on Fox either. I mean, I just do not hear anyone saying, I guess the quarantine is over and we've gone with herd immunity, because that's what we've done. The virus is still around. It's everywhere now. Senator Tom Cotton, thank you for joining me. As always, a pleasure to speak with you. I'm coming right back. John Podhoretz is next, America. John is the only guy I know who has successfully broken the addiction to Twitter. And I wanted to ask him about that in these times. Stay tuned.